Oscar De La Hoya going out bad. Hating on the PBC, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz, all while he just lost Canelo Alvarez, his biggest star. So you're worried about the money that you say PBC is losing, but you just lost your cash cow, Canelo Alvarez. We will talk about all that and more. Smash the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy, Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App. That's $ Boxing Ego and the Patreon family. We working. Well, Oscar De La Hoya is back at it. The Golden Boy is hating on PBC. He did an interview with a podcast, and he was just really taking shots at the PBC, saying they have an agenda and this, that, and the third. And I want to examine some of the things that he was saying and rebuttal them, like only I know how to do. So buckle up, smash the like button. Let's get started.
Think about what's his name? The Tank.
Oh yeah,
Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, versus Leo Santa Cruz, right? When I heard Mayweather say, "Man, that fight has the potential to do 2 million homes," okay? Because it was coming from him, and because I'm optimistic, and because I love the sport, and it's like I wanted to believe it. Like I wanted to say to myself, you know what? If it does half, Jesus, it's a home run. But what did it do? About a 120?
It did between
150,000 homes.
I'm being told.
So Oscar De La Hoya hating because Floyd Mayweather predicted and said hopefully Gervonta Davis does 1 million, if not exceeds 2 million views on pay-per-view with Leo Santa Cruz. However, it's ironic that he's saying this because I have some things queued up. Oscar De La Hoya, when it came to his own fighter, Canelo Alvarez, this is what he estimated the pay-per-view buys to be. Boom. Now, new media, I told you, we got breadcrumbs. I've been doing this for years. I have a video, right? You guys should see it on the screen. May 25th. Look, Google front page. May 25th, 2017. Will Canelo Alvarez versus Golovkin 1 do 3 million buys? Right? Will Canelo Golovkin do 3 million pay-per-view buys? Oscar De La Hoya seems to think so. That's the title of my video, right? And the reason I made this video was based on Oscar De La Hoya's prediction. And in case you don't, for whatever reason, you don't trust me, even though I put out the information, here's the article also. Just so you guys could see. Here's a different source. There's Oscar. There's the video where he said it, new media style. We cover our tracks. De La Hoya expects Canelo Golovkin to do 3 million buys, right? De La Hoya expects close to 3 million buys for Canelo Golovkin 1. Now, although Canelo Golovkin 1 was a success, it definitely didn't do close to 3 million, Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Right? Boom. It did 1.3. So still a good, successful event. Some people, the rematch actually did worse. The rematch did 1.1. So it's a far cry from what De La Hoya was talking about in terms of close to 3 million. So how are you going to hold Floyd Mayweather to, whatever he said? Floyd Mayweather hopes, that Tank, look here, Floyd Mayweather says 2 million pay-per-view is possible, whatever. And you hold him, look, here it is. Floyd Mayweather, hopefully we can get 1 million, even 2 million buys for Davis Santa Cruz. So you're on this podcast and trying to hold Floyd Mayweather to some prediction that was way off or whatever, but you've done it too. I just showed you that. Strike one.
Jesus, it's a home run. But what did it do? About a 120?
It did between
150,000 homes?
I'm being told it did between 125 and 175.
Okay.
So Oscar De La Hoya says, like, that's not the number that came out. He says 125,000 buys. That's not the information we heard. So once again, De La Hoya has some secret numbers that nobody else has reported, you know? So where did you get that number from? So if you look online, it says Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz reportedly brings in 200,000 plus, right, to 225,000. Boxing Insider also reported these numbers. So for whatever reason, De La Hoya has his own separate numbers, and I want you guys to notate that. Where did you get 120,000 from?
150,000 homes?
I'm being told it did between 125 and 175.
Okay, well, let's go 150.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then be generous.
Yeah.
I mean, the pay-per-view market is not what it was.
No.
It's just not. It's like you said, Mario, there's 70 million people without jobs.
Exactly.
Jesus.
And another thing hurting the business.
It's a tough time to be taking a gamble.
Yeah.
Pirated streams. It is so easy.
So you guys heard it. De La Hoya said that, let's just say that Tank and Leo Santa Cruz did 150,000, despite the reports that I just showed you. And you see on Twitter, people like, I think Mike Coppinger, you know, don't quote me on it, but I think he also reported similar numbers, 200,000 plus. But De La Hoya is saying it did some alternate numbers. And let's just say that's true. 150,000. For whatever reason, De La Hoya got these numbers and he pulled them from his inside source, right? 150,000. Like Jay-Z said, you been in the 10, I've been in the 5. Smarten up, Nas. 4 albums in 10 years, nigga, I could divide. 2 of them shits was due. So we're going to do some simple math. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Okay. DAZN, you can look at DAZN and look this up. DAZN, you can simultaneously stream on up to 3 devices. I think since, you know, they're probably not making money, they changed it to 2 devices, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it used to be 3, but now it's saying 2, whatever. So you can stream DAZN on 2 separate devices, like a iPhone and a TV simultaneously. So at least 2 devices, right? That's DAZN. DAZN had Canelo Alvarez, which they just lost, which is ironic that Oscar De La Hoya, he's talking about the money that another company is reportedly losing, but you just lost your biggest star. Really weird behavior as far as I'm concerned. So from DAZN streaming app, you can stream on 2 to 3 devices. Canelo Alvarez's biggest fight on the platform was the Jacobs fight in America. And here's a report. It says DAZN US business indicated that Alvarez-Jacobs bout was watched via in excess of 600,000. Look at the wording, concurrent streams. So concurrent means simultaneously in the US. So we'll say the number's probably less than this, right? Because concurrent means simultaneously. So one DAZN account I just showed you, you can watch simultaneously on, I think it used to be 3, but 2 or 3 devices. So Canelo Alvarez, it says that data would indicate that DAZN has at least 600,000 subscribers in the U.S. who have signed up, which is false because one account, you can watch DAZN on 2 or 3 devices under that one account. So if I open a DAZN account right now, I could watch it on my iPad Pro and I could watch it on my iMac, right? At the same time. So 600,000 concurrent, unless you mean to tell me that's 600,000 organic individual people and nobody, you know, gave their friend their login or ran it and mirrored it on multiple devices, then likely it's less than 600,000. But for ish and giggles, we'll say Canelo Jacobs, his best fight on DAZN to this point, did 600,000. That's what they're saying. De La Hoya just said Gervonta Tank Davis did 150,000. Despite I haven't heard that number, the reported number was 200,000. But he said 150. So I want to show you guys. I purchased Gervonta Davis, and this is why it doesn't make sense to stick your nose in other people's business unless you want people to stick their nose in your business. So I purchased Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. Boom. Here's my order confirmation. Thank you for ordering Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz pay-per-view. So keep in mind on this podcast, De La Hoya is bashing pay-per-view, saying it's dead and blah, 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 and PBC's losing money. Here's my order confirmation where I ordered the WBA super featherweight and WBA lightweight championship card, Tank Davis and Santa Cruz, which also went viral because it was a very good fight. It was a card that had all knockouts, and Tank had a star-making performance with a viral knockout. Here's my order confirmation. Focus in on this. The amount that I paid for pay-per-view, that De La Hoya is saying pay-per-view's dead and, saying, hey, man, he only did $150,000, despite the fact that I don't know where those numbers even came from, but I'll use his argument. I paid $75 plus any applicable fees and taxes for that. So that's $80. That's $80, because you would have to imagine 10% would be $7.50. So that's over $5. We'll round it down to $5. Say I paid $80 when tax was included. $75 on the pay-per-view, and with applicable taxes, I paid an extra $7.50, 10%. 8% be $5 and change. So that's $80. I'm not the smartest brother in the world, so keep this in mind. Canelo Jacobs concurrent streams in America did 600,000, and we know you can watch DAZN on multiple devices. So let's get it. DAZN price point, they raised the price by the time Canelo Jacobs had happened. That's $20 a pop, $19.99. $19.99 times 600,000. You guys follow the math. That means you, on that fight at a $19.99 price point, you would have, for that fight, and that's saying that it's 600,000, even though it says concurrent, and I just showed you how that number is probably inflated. But let's say you did 600,000. That means you generated 11,993,000 and change. So just under $12 million, 11.9, right? I just showed you my receipt. Tank Davis was $80. $80. De La Hoya says we'll say 150,000 buys, even though the number says 200,000 to 225,000. But I'll use De La Hoya's number. At a higher price point, this is not rocket science, $80, $75 plus tax times the number that De La Hoya came out with, you generated $12 million. So although you've sold less, you've generated just about the same as Canelo. But the big difference being is Canelo got this fat paycheck where, Exhibit A, Canelo, it says his fight. Let me see if you guys can see this. It says his fight with Jacobs, whom Alvarez beat by UD. So it was a boring fight, didn't go viral. In my opinion, it was boring. I expected more from both. Was considered a vital event to bring long-term success of the platform because DAZN committed nearly $48 million in purses for this unification. So Canelo got 35 million plus guaranteed, 36.5 million guaranteed for this fight. And I just did the math. At 600,000, the number they put out in America, this man generated the same amount of revenue as Tank at a higher price point, with far less views. And De La Hoya is trying to make it sound like Tank Davis is a bust. Now, this is what happens when you stick your nose in other people's business.
Said Mario, there's 70 million people without jobs.
Exactly.
Jesus.
And another thing hurting the business.
It's a tough time to be taking a gamble.
Yeah.
Pirated streams. It is so easy to pick up these streams where you don't have to pay the money.
Too easy.
And that's the other thing. Now, how much did the fact that Canelo is one of these guys that when he fights in Vegas, he's done $10 million gates, $20 million gates, $27 million gates. How big of a factor was that?
It's a huge factor. It's a huge factor. I mean, when is it?
So De La Hoya is hating. He's clearly hating. And he was trying to somehow spin it like losing Canelo is Canelo's loss. You guys got to listen to this. The man says he sounds absolutely deluded. You know, he's trying to make it like Canelo's going to come crawling back. But Canelo, I told you guys for a while, his whole profile has diminished and dwindled down being on the DAZN app. People don't know when his fights are. He's not doing the same numbers. And yet and still you have De La Hoya, who just lost his biggest cash cow, which is no mystery. This is like common knowledge. And he's worried about what PBC is doing and begging them to work with him. We'll see how this plays out. But De La Hoya, you know, he's going out bad, in my opinion. You know, you worried about Tank Davis and Errol Spence and Deontay Wilder. He also says in this podcast that he built their careers. But people didn't even know who Wilder was and Errol Spence was like they do now when you had them. Wow. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Hell of a way to go out. You just lost your biggest cash cow, Canelo Alvarez, and he's about to fight on DAZN without you, and you're worried about another company and how much money they're allegedly losing. And I just did the math for you. So it's looking bad for the Golden Boy and Golden Boy Promotions, especially, you know, you got to question people who are constantly focused on what the next man or woman is doing as opposed to their own business. De La Hoya's fighter, Canelo Alvarez, to this day, his biggest fight against Floyd Mayweather, De La Hoya was in rehab. It's not my opinion. That's a fact. Let me know how I did. Also, sign up for ESPN Plus. They got a ton of original content, docu-series, documentaries, archive footage from boxing, past fights, Mayweather and Pacquiao, Lomachenko and Lopez, fights like that. You can get all that and more. ESPN Plus is a standalone app, $5.99. Get that individually, or you can get the bundle ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three apps, one low price at $12.99. But yeah, this is pretty embarrassing from De La Hoya. You know, you're worried about another company's loss, but you had Canelo in a deal which likely violated the Ali Act, and you guys, and under that structure and deal, were paying Canelo $35 million plus for Jacobs fights that was doing 600,000 concurrent views. And I just did the math to show you that the revenue, if those numbers are true, the $150 for Tank at a higher price point of $75, $80 for the pay-per-view versus $20 on DAZN. So we all know that Tank Davis, I know the kid got money and things like that, but we know he wasn't getting $40 million to fight Leo Santa Cruz. So you tell me what is the real loss. Paying Canelo $35, $40 million for his fight, and it only does 600,000, and paying guys like Golovkin, you know, DAZN as a platform, $15 million to fight Steve Rolls, and the numbers are probably worse than that for sure. Or PBC paying whatever they paid Gervonta Davis to fight Leo Santa Cruz, and Tank, you know, captures with the W. I think the Davis-Leo Santa Cruz knockout was more satisfying, and no offense to Leo Santa Cruz, but it ended in a much more emphatic, dramatic way than Danny Jacobs versus Canelo. I was actually let down with the fight. Canelo came out very sharp, but he kind of faded towards the end. So I really expected more. So for De La Hoya, he's just sounding like out of his element. You know, he's acting like everybody else is losing business and losing money, but him. You talking about how much they losing on their pay-per-views. You can't even put a pay-per-view. And then the only guy you could have put on pay-per-view at this current moment just left you, Canelo Alvarez. Seems like Golden Boy, the priorities are all messed up. Even Ryan Garcia, great fighter. He's promoting himself. Like he's going on social media promoting himself. You can't put Ryan Garcia in January on DAZN pay-per-view and expect no type of numbers. So it's funny to see all these guys, you know, Bob Arum and De La Hoya hating. They must feel real threatened by Al Heyman because they hating on his sales, saying, oh, Tank only did 150,000, even though we're hearing his different numbers. But that's still $150,000. That's 150,000 views that you're not doing because you can't put no one on pay-per-view. So what are we talking about? Virgil Ortiz, put him on pay-per-view. Let's see what his numbers do. So it's like, that's like me making fun of someone like, oh, you ain't even got rims on that Bentley as they drive by, but I'm walking. If you're walking, how you going to roast someone because they don't have rims on their luxury car or sports car? Somebody got a Ferrari or a Bentley or something, and I'm making fun of them or attempting to, and I'm walking. You really can't really make fun of people that much if that's the case. You see what I'm saying? You talking about, oh, Tank only did 175,000, right? But you're doing no 150,000 because you have no fighters that are like you when you fought that you can even put on pay-per-view. So the priorities seem all bad with Golden Boy. You just lost your biggest star, who the only guy, Canelo Alvarez, that was an established pay-per-view guy, and he's now fighting on the same app, just you're not getting paid off of it. And you're worried about the next. I mean, this just sounds crazy. Checkmate. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.